what's happening in the community around our fabulous lake. Find out with Martine Patterson every Monday between 9am and 12 noon. Lake Mac Life on Lake Macquarie FM 97.3. It's just a soul and feeling, yeah, moving with the beat.
And you're with Martine on Lake Macquarie FM, the new 97.3. This is the Lake Mac Life Show. And as always, we bring you a local poly or community leader for our Poly Waffle, brought to you by Working Directions Vocational Rehab, produced by Paul James. And make sure you tune in on Saturday afternoon from 3, because Paul James on his Saturday Fever will give you a countdown of the poly that we chat to on the Monday show. And I have with me the lovely Yasmin Catley, MP for Swansea. Welcome aboard, Caitlin. Yasmin, sorry, I got your name totally mixed up there. Welcome aboard, Yasmin.
Do you know people do that all the time?
I can imagine.
Transpose my surname with my first name, so I answer to anything.
Yeah, well, I'm the same. I spend my life trying to spell out how you spell Martine, so we're on the same board there, Yasmin. Beautiful day for it, but you're still working. It is the long weekend, but you're still out there working in our community.
Oh, look, I'm really delighted to have been invited down to Chain Valley Bay to the opening of the new equipment down at Joshua Porter Park. I was able to provide some assistance to council, some financial assistance to council to get that project going, and the community had been asking for it for a long time. So I'm going down there to celebrate with the community once I get off from speaking with you, Martine.
Well, I won't keep you long. It is a gorgeous day for it. Top of 22 and sunny. So this is the kind of weather that people of Chain Valley Bay are going to enjoy, this new infrastructure. So thank you for rallying behind that, because you're quite a passionate person, Yasmin. You're very much a local girl, born and bred here. You went to school locally. Where did you go?
I started school at Gwandolin Public School, so my parents moved up from Sydney when I was just 18 months old, and they moved to Summerland Point. And back in those days, there was just one building in the school, and we just had a divider down the middle, and there was kindy, first, second and third in one room, and fourth, fifth and sixth in the other. And my brother was in the other class, and I was in the primary area. And, you know, I met my best friend there, Jenny Mortlock, and her sister Susie, and we're still best friends today.
Isn't that lovely? What a gorgeous story, all the way from Summerland Point there, and what a beautiful place to grow up. So this is your backbone, this area. This is you're very passionate about a lot of issues, but coming actually from the area, knowing the streets, the schools, and watching it all grow. This is where your passion lies. So then, what happened after Summerland Point School? Where did Gondolin's Primary? Where did you do your later years?
I then went to St Mary's at Gateshead, which is where my children also followed in my footsteps. And,
yes.
I've still got one daughter there now. My youngest daughter Charlotte is still at St Mary's, and then they obviously go off to St Francis Xavier. But I went to St Anne's. So back when I was in the Catholic system, it was still single-sexed. So I went to the senior girls' school, which is on the Pius X site.
Is it right? So that's what happened to St Anne's, because that's not around and about anymore. So that's how that happened. I didn't realise.
Feel old now, Martine.
Well, I'm kind of a newbie to the area. I've only been here 20 years, so I didn't do my schooling here. But our children do know each other at St Mary's, so there you go. It is a small world in this beautiful Lake Macquarie. But you haven't always been in politics. I'm sure you were always interested in politics and helping our community. But I do know that you were a librarian for the council there for a long time. Yeah, look, I actually, you're right, I have had a long teen interest in politics. I joined the Labor Party when I was 19, the Swansea branch here, and my father was a member, and we used to have some pretty robust discussions around the kitchen table. So he suggested that I, vent my concerns or my suggestions in a broader forum. So he encouraged me to join the Labor Party, and that I did. Wow! Did you ever think that you'd be there, sitting in the office there in sort of 30 years' time? There you go.
Never entered my mind.
Wow.
I can honestly say that hand on heart. I didn't join the Labor Party to become a parliamentarian. That was definitely not part of the plan. It was, but in any case, I remained, part of that. And you're right, I went on to work for Lake Macquarie Libraries, and I was the librarian at Swansea for a number of years, in fact. And I can remember from time to time, I'd think, oh wow, I haven't been over the bridge for a couple of weeks. I better spread my wings. I was working here, living here, and it was a good time. I finished though. I went to work after I worked in local government libraries. I worked for federal departments, and I spent the last 10 years at the Refugee Review Tribunal. And can I say, I found that some of the most rewarding work that I've ever done. So doing that research on certain hotspots of areas for migration around the world, it was really fascinating.
That is a really interesting topic.
It is, yeah. I
love that. You're also the Shadow Minister for Innovation and Better Regulation. What does that mean?
Pleased you asked. So we'll start with the better regulation part of it. It's just consumer affairs, basically. So that's
right.
All that is. So it's Department of Fair Trading.
That's the fancy name for it.
Yeah, and it suits me quite well because, as you said, I am very passionate and I have great interest in consumer fairness. So I'm really enjoying that. And innovation, innovation's whatever you want to be, I guess. But I've got to say, for me, and at the moment, I'm developing policy for the Labor Party going forward for the next election. And for me, it's about creating jobs because, this is an industrial town. The Central Coast and Newcastle are industrial areas and have a long history there. And you say the word innovation to workers here and they think, there goes my job.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right.
That's not what I'm about. I'm about making sure that we use innovation to create jobs and bring people along with us. We have to make sure we don't leave anyone behind. And while I'm there, I'll make sure of that. Absolutely,
absolutely. So local jobs is really important to you. I know that transport is very close to your heart. I mean, you were actually, I'm going to use the word, you were kicked out of Parliament back in April for being quite loud and noisy about it. Disgruntled.
Yeah. Well,
can we say that? Can we say you were kicked out?
Very, very angry about it. Yeah.
Yes.
Look, as your listeners will know, Martine, the government privatised our bus service here in Newcastle. It started in January this year, and the new providers, Keolis Downer, said that they would redesign the network, which they did, and in doing that, they literally put public transport, bus transport, in chaos in this town.
Yes.
And the people out here were amongst those who were affected the most, and still are to some extent. As you remember, we had that big protest meeting over at the 16-footers.
Yes.
When do you get more than 1,000 people turn up?
I know, but this was a really core subject. I mean, we were getting here on our Facebook page and the radio, we were getting calls and messages about this, about people who were really concerned. They were really passionate about it and still are, very concerned. And in fact, I do have Morgan has written in. She sounds, like probably a teenager, and she says here, I have a question for Yasmin for Monday. I stay at my dad's place at Swansea, and now it takes forever to get back home to see my mum. Why did they change the bus times? From Morgan. There you go. So it sounds like she's a teenager. She's able to use the bus service correctly, except, it's interfering with her seeing mum and dad.
Well, it's interfering with children getting to school, getting to their part-time jobs, disabled people getting to their workplace in Broadmeadow. So Broadmeadow has one of the largest numbers of day programs,
right.
And also Access Industry is there, which is the largest employer of disabled people in the Hunter. They do a fantastic job, and a big shout out to them. I hope they're listening.
Yes, they do great stuff.
But people are unable to get there as a result of the changes they've made to the buses. And I didn't put my hand up to represent a community and then sit on my hands.
Yeah.
And every week I'm still writing letters to the Minister, and I will continue to fight for fairness for those people as long as I'm in this job. And I'm doing that because as a government, you should be making life better for people, not making it worse. And this is just a blatant example of where the government is not listening, and they believe that everything that they hear from the private provider, which is just absolute garbage, and there are people in our community that deserve better.
Yes.
Governments should be providing public services, and public transport is one of those public services.
So what can people do? They are disgruntled. I mean, they're writing into us, into a radio station, and we try and put them on to people like yourself who've got a bigger voice. But what can, mums and dads and people who are caring for people with disability and elderly people who use the public transport? I mean, we're trying to encourage people to use the public transport, to get off our roads, stop using all the fossil fuels. We're trying to encourage them. So what can we do?
I think what you're doing is a fine job by encouraging them to get in touch with their local representative and also to contact the organisation themselves. So if you don't make a complaint to the organisation, they don't know that you're complaining.
That's
so they need that to make sure. That's why, we actually did get a win in that we can now get a bus from Swansea Head directly to Newcastle without changing 3 times, which was absurd in the first place.
Ridiculous. Absolutely.
Ridiculous. Yeah. But nonetheless, so we did get a few wins. Also, there was a terrific win from Valentine. If you can believe this, the Valentine to Charlestown bus stopped at Lake Macquarie Fair, and the next bus to come along was 50 minutes later.
No. How
the
ridiculous.
transfer was 50 minutes.
To a shopping centre. I mean, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, just nuts.
Absolutely.
Anyway, so we did have those little wins. But can I say this? Over at our protest meeting, Luke Foley said, and Luke Foley's the leader of the Labor Party, and if a Labor government is elected in March, he said he will drag Keolis Downer down to Sydney, down to Macquarie Street, and have them explain why.
Well, we will hold him to that.
Well, you can rest assured I will be holding him to it. I can give you that
You'll be pushing the car down there, Yasmin. That's what you do. I've got a more general question, but it's kind of in the same thought from Lee. And Lee asks, do you think that the state government has lost touch with the people they are supposed to help, such as closing down local RMS, which is the motor registries, and TAFE, etc. So I know that's a bit of a general one throwing at you, but Lee's obviously worried about the bigger picture.
Yeah, no, and I think that they're very good topics to raise, so critically important in areas like regional areas like we live in. Look, it's probably a really timely question too, because we've just seen some pretty awful behaviour from the government at the moment, just looking at themselves, worrying, like you saw the Treasurer wanting to, take someone else's seat, and they're playing sort of monopoly with, with each other's seats. Anyway, that's all going on. So while you're doing that, you're not concentrating on your job at hand, and your job at hand is to govern for the state of New South Wales and make people's lives better. So I think that that's actually very true, and it's symptomatic of a government that's been probably there too long and is looking at themselves instead of concerned about the future. In terms of the RMS and the TAFE, so of course the RMS at Belmont closed down, which was just devastating for people south of Belmont and others as well, from Jules and the like, Valentine, right throughout the electorate. But, TAFE as well, there's been, 5,500 jobs lost from TAFE across New South Wales, 170,000 less students in New South Wales. It's just devastating.
It is.
And we do not have a state service in the electorate of Swansea now, which is really unheard of.
It's unbelievable. I don't know how this happened, to be honest, Yasmin.
Yes.
I don't know how it happened to this, to this.
I know. And because we lost Centrelink as well, Medibank, Medicare rather. So we do not have any services in the electorate, and it's devastating for people. And this assumption that everybody does everything online, sure, people are leading that way, but this is one of the oldest populations in New South Wales, and it's just a reality that not everybody is online. Not everyone has a computer.
Exactly. That's exactly right. Not everyone has a smartphone or knows how to use it. And we've had lots of listeners call in and say, look, I'm really worried about, how I'm going to register my car this year because I can't get up to Warners Bay or, I'm just driving locally. It's all just too confusing. So trying to, navigate around that is really difficult for people who, of all backgrounds, not just elderly people who might not be computer savvy, but a lot of young people, are still finding it hard to access computers and smartphones. Not everyone has that facility.
You're absolutely 100% right. And this assumption that everybody does is just not realistic.
Yeah.
So my office is just an open door for anybody who needs to do online stuff. My staff are amazing. They'll help anybody out there. So,
fantastic, Yasmin.
Well, you have to.
Well, I might meet you up there in a couple of hours. Goodness me. Now, I have a question from Jan with a double N. I work in a school. I manage everything that goes on from the students to the teachers and more. Yet because my job is seen as a woman's role, I earn almost half of what a new teacher earns. Is that fair? How will you help staff who aren't teachers get some sort of pay equality? There you go, Jan. Good question.
Hi, Jan. And can I first start off by saying thank you, Jan, for your hard work, because you're absolutely right.
The backbone.
You bet.
Yes.
I can remember when I was at school, and my girlfriend's mum was a teacher's aide, actually, and she was just unreal, and all the kids loved her, and she was. Well,
they are what that make the schools go around. I mean, the teachers do so much, but it's all the admin, all the behind the scenes that make it work.
Yeah.
And she's saying they're not being recognised, and she's putting it down to a gender bias there. Is that existing, do you think?
Oh, most certainly, unfortunately, but most certainly. So we're seeing that across like the education spectrum generally.
Yeah.
So in preschool, early childhood, then as in schools, and so it goes on. So at the moment, there's a United Voice, which is the union that represents people who work in childcare and preschool centres. They've got a big campaign on called Big Steps, and it's exactly about that. It's about the pay inequality amongst groups of people that work together, and they're obviously very female-dominated areas. And this is exactly the same as that. So it's important, first and foremost, that people get hooked up with their union that is running these campaigns. They're running really good campaigns for gender equality pay, which is fantastic. I was at a rally, actually, just a couple of weeks ago, and Tanya Plibersek was there, and I'm sure everyone will know Tanya, who's just a wonderful champion for women.
Great advocate, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And in those instances, there's actually like a $30,000 differential between somebody who teaches in a preschool to someone who teaches in a school.
Isn't that crazy business?
It is.
Absolutely,
it really is.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And it's stopping people who, when they look at it from a financial perspective, do they want to put, food on the table? It's directing people away from these really important jobs. And when we're talking about, being innovative and opening up the job market, we need people to be teaching our kiddies from a young age. We need the backbone of staff in the schools, in the behind the scenes, to make all of that work so that our kids are skilled up and job ready for the innovation that we're talking about.
Absolutely. And I think too, can I just say to Jan as well, I think having more women in the Parliament will make a difference as well, because we actually understand the inequality ourselves. I mean, I worked in libraries. They were a fairly, in local government, so they were a fairly, average paying type of job as well, compared to management and executive and the like.
Exactly.
So I think that, it's really important. As a member of the Labor Party and as a strong female advocate in our area, I will always continue to promote equality of pay in my role in the Parliament.
Do you know, I'll throw something in there of my own personal political philosophy. I think we need to get more men involved in these jobs as well. I think that we need them in there, and it will help things, even out a bit. So that's interesting. So thank you, Jan, for that question. That was a few ones in there. I've got Tracy, and she's saying she's struggling week to week to make it work. And she wants to know, I guess, generally, if the Labor Party wins the next election, how will you make our lives better? She's struggling to make it work week to week with her family. And I think this is a common story that you would hear every day, Yasmin, that I hear every day with my community involvement.
Cost of living is a really big issue out there, and I've been out door knocking, and I get the same message all the time. Another thing that people worry about is their job, like the underemployment, or they might have a job but they want more employment. I think that's really critical as well, that we make sure that people are fully employed. So that obviously will add more to the take-home pay. And I think that these are the things that are leading to a lot of people feeling so financially stressed. Can I just say, though, because I've been thinking a lot about this, and privatisation really has not done us well. The theory is that privatisation, you'll end up with a better service. Well, look at electricity. That certainly hasn't worked very well.
That didn't work at all. We spoke with this with David Harris last week because someone threw this question at him about the privatisation. Is it working? And he agreed with you. No, it's not. But what can we do about it? Can we claw back some of our services? Can we do that? I mean, is that something that would be on the agenda?
Well, I mean, the thing is, the opposition don't know the contractual arrangements around these sell-offs. So you would have to look at those forensically. But one thing I can say is that we have made a pledge that we will sell nothing more. There is no more privatisation under a Labor government. And I'm very pleased to be part of a caucus that is pushing that. Because, again, being in a regional area, now that our buses are privatised, that's why we ended up with such a terrible
The proof
outcome.
is in the pudding, to be honest. I mean, we're just hitting two topics, electricity and buses, and the proof is in the pudding that privatisation has been an absolute mistake.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but to go back to Tracy's question, the things that the Labor Party and the things that I'm really passionate about and will fight so hard for that make a difference to people's lives is ensuring that people get the skills they need at TAFE so that they can get a good job. Ensuring that we have a vibrant nightlife. We need to make sure that our cities are places where people want to live and can thrive and can have a good quality of life. We need to make sure that those foundations are in place so that as people come through, they have the opportunities to reskill or new skill or wherever they are in their life to be able to go and get a good job that gives them a good pay.
I agree. Now, on that nightlife issue there, Yasmin, a little birdie has told me, a local little birdie, that you used to be seen as a young one at the midnight till dawn sessions there at the Doilo.
Oh, did I ever? They were some of the best nights of my life. So we'd all get down there. Oh, wow, God, we had a great time. And I'll admit it, you've got me now.
Yes.
And then we'd go to Sylvester's.
Sylvester's?
Where Coles is now.
Yes.
That used to be Sylvester's nightclub. That was another little hangout. It used to be there. Oh, I had a great time on the Central Coast, and as I said to you at the beginning, my best girlfriends, but there's a big group of us who are really close.
Lovely.
And we're all still close today. And in fact, we just celebrated one of our girlfriends' birthdays recently. We all went into Newcastle and stayed overnight.
Oh,
and
fantastic.
we had such a scream. It was fabulous.
And reminisced about the days of Sylvester's.
Oh, yeah, that always comes up.
Now, as part of our Waffle program here, we always ask you for a top 10 that Paul James will play for you on his show, which is Saturday Fever from 3 p.m. on FM 97.3. So I know that you and your gang there have been busily writing down what songs you'd like in your top 10. Now, David Harris last week, as I said, he hit the pub scene pretty well around our region here. You might have bumped into him probably. But he had the likes of the Hoodoo Gurus, and we enjoyed that on Saturday. So you've got a few listed down there as some of your. Were you an 80s girl? Can we say that?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah. Well, out and about, 80s,
yes.
Sure.
And what about your music tastes? Are they sort of the 80s?
Yeah, a bit broader, though. Like, I love Elton John, but he's very 80s.
Yes.
I love Steely Dan, but I think that probably comes from my husband. He's a real Steely Dan. Fine Young Cannibals.
Yes.
Yeah, Bee Gees. I mean, who cannot love the Bee Gees?
Who cannot love the Bee Gees? Exactly, yeah.
You know, I mean, Grease and Saturday Night Fever, I watched them on, the beta. The beta.
Yeah, exactly.
We had a beta video recorder, believe it or not.
Them were the days, Yasmin. Yeah. And have you brought that to your kiddies? Because you've got sort of teenagers now. Have you brought them the Grease and all of those things that we were brought up as?
Oh, you bet. And they love music. And it's really funny. So next week we go away to Southwest Rocks with a group of about 5 families.
Yes.
We've been doing it for about more than a decade now. And they've got mum and dad's playlist. And they play that. And it's so funny. And all the kids love it now because they're so used to it. But, they love music. They really enjoy it. And I actually quite like their new stuff too. And I'm getting into that as well. I mean, the new music's good. So we're doing a bit of cross-generational stuff here in terms of music, yes.
Absolutely brilliant. Look, it's been lovely chatting to you, getting to know you as well as what you stand for. And, we were certainly very proud here at FM 97.3 when you did cause a bit of a fuss there at Parliament over the buses and the public transport, because it certainly is close to our listeners' hearts. So, thank you for standing up for us. We do appreciate that. And and if we can catch up with you another time, you have to run off to Chain Valley Bay now, and there's no rest for the wicked in this game, Yasmin.
No, that's right. So I'll have a bit of fun down there with the community. But look, thank you very much, Martine, and thank you to all your listeners. It's such a privilege to represent your community, and I pinch myself every day, and I thank people for having the trust in me and the faith in me, and I'll continue to work hard.
Thanks so much, Yasmin. Muchly appreciated.
Get into a new taste, get into your new Polly Waffle. Polly Waffle. Polly Waffle, Polly, what's a mouthful? A creamy, creamy sensor, so you better get your new Polly Waffle. Polly Waffle. Polly Waffle, Polly, what's a mouthful?
New Polly Waffle with an extra creamy centre. What a mouthful!
What a mouthful!